Welcome into a brand new edition of Bleav in Hills Hoops here on the Bleav Podcast Networks. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by the Tar Heel Tribune's R.L. Bynum, special guest host Pete Chilcutt in the house. And what a great, not just day, but a week to be a Tar Heel. As the North Carolina Tar Heels, your North Carolina Tar Heels are the ACC regular season champs for 2023-24 after defeating Duke in Cameron on Saturday night. We'll talk about that matchup and what we saw. We'll talk about ACC awards are out for the end of the year. We'll get into that, who made what we saw from there. And we'll get into the ACC tournament that starts Tuesday. Today. It starts today. So we got opening round games today that we'll look at the entire bracket and see where Carolina, their path to get to the championship game on Saturday night in DC. And the final AP poll is out. Carolina's ranked number 4 in the final AP poll for the season. We'll talk about whether or not can Carolina secure a 1 seed going into the NCAA tournament. What do they need to do over this week to maybe get one? Guys, what's going on? How's everything work? Both of you guys at Cameron on Saturday?
I was not. I was locked up solo. I like to watch that game. If I'm not at present, watch that game by myself.
Me too. Yes. I've had a lot of people invite me out to parties or bars or wherever to watch it. And I'm just like, nah, I can't, not for this. Like, I don't like being around people when I'm watching this game. It's too intense. R.L., were you in the house?
I was watching the game with a lot of my closest Duke student friends behind me, yelling vile things and throwing water. And I got water at the end of the game. I got water on my laptop because they were throwing bottles and gumballs and whatever. So, but hey, you can't beat being courtside at Cameron for the Duke Carolina game. That was amazing.
Again, it's on my bucket list of places I want to go watch Carolina Duke. People call me crazy being a Carolina fan, wanting to go into Cameron Indoor to watch that game, but Carolina wins 84-79. Games to have 17 wins. I thought it was ever since they moved to 20, nobody had won the conference with less than 4 losses or something to that effect. So Carolina finishes 25-6, 17-3 in the ACC. Duke falls to 24-7 and 15-5 in the ACC. North Carolina wins the league outright. Cormac Ryan had himself a game, 31 points in this matchup. And just give me your number one takeaway. Now that we're a couple days away from it now, we won't linger on it too much, but give me your biggest takeaway from what you watched during this game. Pete, let's start it off with you.
My overall takeaway, it was evident in the first half, and I think it's going to be an always for Carolina when they are ready to play, and they are things I saw as far as jumping on those loose balls was the first signal for me that they were dialed in and ready to play. And you think that's an easy thing to do, but I've seen games where they're reaching over to pick them up, but they were diving almost 3 or 4 feet out and securing loose balls, and they got them all. And those plays turned into big plays, and that momentum that we got early was so important and so impressive. As far as from my standpoint, it just sent a message that we were here to play, and it didn't hurt to have Cormac Ryan hit those first 3 early threes, obviously, but across the board, I think the guys were just dialed in, and any fear about them not being ready to play and willing to accept the co-championship was kind of gotten rid of pretty early. I thought they were dialed in and they wanted that victory very very bad.
Yeah, the Tar Heels didn't seem like they were in a sharing mood at all, and they picked up right where they left off in the previous game. Like Pete said, just taking control early. I mean, I think the fact that there's so many veteran players really showed in that game. The way they played coming out, just being aggressive. And I tell you, that one Elliot Cadeau play when he dove for that interception, then pitched out to Cormac Ryan for the 3-pointer, just typified some of the hustle that you saw early on.
Yeah, for me watching it was very clear early on who the veteran team was. And not so much that Carolina's been playing together for a long time. They just looked older. Out there, like they looked like men playing against boys. Like, I don't want to dismiss Duke too much, but it really showed that Duke is one of the youngest teams in the country. Like, they rely on freshmen and sophomores, and Carolina does not. Cormac Ryan is a grown man. He's 25 years old out here playing against 18-year-old kid. Like, in some effects, it was almost like it wasn't fair, but that's the rules. Like, Duke could have built a team just like this too, and they did not. And the whole week, and we talked about this on another show yesterday, RL. The whole week I saw Duke fans. I always know when we have Duke, when they're more excited about the incoming class than the class that's still here playing. And I kept seeing them go on and on and on about this incoming class with Cooper Flagg and the kid from Africa that's 7'2", and shout out to Isaiah Evans from North Mecklenburg that's going there that dropped 40-something points in the playoff game last week. Yeah, you got some kids coming in. But the main thing I took from that Carolina-Duke game, college basketball has reverted back. Like college basketball it's all about the older teams winning now. Where we went through a stretch for about 10 years where the younger teams were stocked with talent, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, where they were going to be sniffing the Final Four. Now, granted, they didn't really win anything during that period. Kentucky won it in 2012 and Duke in 2015, but they had upperclassmen on those teams. Duke had a senior Quinn Cook playing point guard on 2015. So it wasn't exactly Fab Five, like where it's just mainly freshmen running everything. But seeing Armando, RJ, senior, Cormac, Harrison Ingram, like the only freshman that plays for Carolina is Elliot Cadeau for the most part. Like everyone else, you don't really see a whole lot of Zayden High and, Aquanu. I think I'm saying his name right. You don't really see Okonkwo. Did I say it? I just said it wrong. Yeah. But Elliot's the only one that really plays, and it showed on Saturday night. Like they were there for every loose ball, like you guys said. When Duke cut it to 1 in the second half, and Carolina fought back and pushed the lead back out to like 9 or something real quick. I was like, that's what a veteran does. It's been punched in the mouth before. They don't panic and they respond. Carolina last year or the year before would have lost that lead. They would have lost that lead and I don't know who would have won, but they would have lost that lead in Cameron. And I was waiting on that explosion for Duke to come down and hit a 3 or something to take the lead, and they never did. Carolina led both these games combined, I think every minute, but like 45 seconds or something like that, or some crazy number. There was just no question this year. Carolina was the better team. They just better built, better shooting, better defense, better three-point shooting. They've got the player of the year, the coach of the year, which we'll get to in a second. It just made me feel good at the end of the game. I was like, okay, this Carolina team can legit do something in March. Then the end of the game happened. First, before we get to the end of the game, let's just get it out of the way, the Kyle Filipowski, Harrison Ingram situation. We've all seen the video at this point. We were watching the game. I don't think there's any question that Filipowski tried to trip Harrison Ingram. And honestly, if it had been anybody else, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. But the fact we were just talking about it with Flip 2 weeks prior at Wake with a student, it's almost like he's trying to be that Duke guy, that Grayson Allen, that Christian Laettner, that JJ Redick, the guy that the nation hates. Like he's trying to embrace it, but he's not doing it right. Like he's not completely going full-blown heel. Thoughts on his post game, RL? Were you in there when he was talking about what happened?
When Filipowski was talking, I wasn't in the Duke locker room, but I was talking to Harrison about it. He said he asked Ted Valentine about it, and Valentine told him that he didn't see it, which I
stand right there.
hard to believe. But I mean, Filipowski raises his right leg like a dog trying to do his business. I mean, it was definitely a trip. And then what was funny is he kind of tried to distract it by acting like he was hurt, and miraculously he was fine after a few seconds. So, and then he told reporters apparently that his foot slipped. So, I don't know if he has a future as a politician, put it that way.
But he also told the post game that he didn't even know Ingram was back there. And that was the lie to me. I'm like, Ingram's got both his hands in your back. Like if you watch the whole sequence, Harrison Ingram didn't push him down. He was already on the ground. Harrison's trying to get past him and get in the play and go. And as he's trying to leap over him is when Flip lifts the leg and tries to trip him up or whatever. And to RL's point, I did notice that too. It wasn't it was him acting like he hurt himself after the fact. And I'm like, all right, come on, Flip. Like I saw Duke fans like, I'm getting tired of this dude, like on Facebook, like after the game, like I can't wait for him to go and all this other stuff. They have already turned their attention to 2024-25. Like we still got weeks to go in this season. So this Duke team, to me, I left that game thinking this is a second round Duke team. Like you get those every couple of years where there's still a bunch of talent on the team, but it just doesn't gel the way you think it would. And they end up losing on Saturday or Sunday of opening weekend or whatever, wherever they're at, and people are like, what happened? Like, what happened? And then they move on to the next class. So that was my thought from that. And then the post-game stuff with the fans. Thoughts on that, Pete? What did you? Is that the wildest thing you've ever seen in Cameron Indoor? Because
I don't have a problem with what Carolina did. I mean, you saw some of the pregame stuff. They were yelling at RJ. You hear them during the game. I don't have a problem with them waving goodbye to the fans. They went to the handshake line. I understand after that they did shake hands. To be honest, I don't have really a problem with the water in the bottles. I mean, it is what it is.
It makes the rivalry kind of what it is, right? Like it wasn't out of hand, but
the biggest problem I had was in the pregame with RJ. I mean, there was a guy in the stand saying he wanted to kill him, and that's not appropriate.
No.
You can talk about the girlfriends and Caleb Love and all you want, but when you make it personal, make a threat on someone's life, I think that guy should have been thrown out. The post-game stuff, I'm okay with. Both ways. It wasn't any harm, no foul. Harrison's like he had a great time with it. It's part of the rivalry. So
that's why they came here. Yeah,
that's my take on it.
And
I took that video. I was just gonna take video of RJ putting up jumpers in warm-ups, and then all this vile stuff yelled right behind me by a bunch of guys dressed as revolutionaries. By the way, whatever that means. And
you think they knew they were being taped?
What's that?
You think they knew they were being taped?
I don't know. I was in front of them with my phone up.
These kids,
I don't know.
These kids nowadays, they're oblivious.
It was just way over the line, and it just. And I won't repeat some of the different things I heard over the course of the game. I mean, there were some amusing things they were yelling, like Cormac, get a job, because he's 25. But for the most part, it was
doing
just
the job he currently has pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know if he needs to go looking right now. And that's the thing too I took from the Carolina Duke game. You can't just key in on one guy anymore. Like last year, if you could get Armando in foul trouble and prevent him from scoring 20 plus and double-digit rebounds, then Carolina more than likely was going to lose the game. This year, Duke went into both these games thinking if we can contain RJ Davis, we can win this game. And both times, somebody else stepped up. Last time it was Harrison Ingram. This game, it was Cormac Ryan. This is one of those teams to me where you can't pinpoint the guy that's going to explode for 25 points or whatever that night. It could be any of them at any given time. And if it's two of them, then you're going to lose that game. Like, there's just nothing you can really do about it. And more often than not, RJ is one of them. So they did catch RJ on a slow night, but it didn't really matter. Cormac was on fire, and he played with a lot of feistiness too. Like, that's not the first time he's been in Cameron Indoor, but it's the first time he's been in there in a Carolina jersey. So he played like he was juiced. So I was excited to see that. And I'm glad that the trait that I love with the Roy Williams teams were that they got better as the season went on. And it feels like this team is getting better as the season goes on, as we get into March, where they're trending upward, where Duke can kind of flatline in January and just kind of tread water sometimes, where with a bunch of talent. That's why people question, why can't you do anything with all the talent you have over there? They're 18-year-old, they're 19-year-old kids. Like, I mean, you're putting so much pressure on these freshmen and sophomores to win games and keep up the standard, when I could see Shire kind of getting back to getting kids that are going to stay there 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe bring some 4-stars in instead of 5s and having them stay a while instead of flipping them out every 8 months or whatever, because that's hard to keep. I think that's ultimately what ran K into retirement, because it's just really hard to keep that pace going every single year and still be Duke. So we'll see what happens with all of that there. I'm going to pull up the ACC awards for 2024 because we have some people that actually won some things. I'm trying to pull up here we go. So let's go over to all 2023-24 all ACC for teams and see if we all agree with what the league and the media voted on here. Starting off, let's get that out the way. So starting off, 2023 all ACC first team, RJ Davis was your leading vote getter, PJ Hall from Clemson, Kyle Filipowski from Duke, Hunter Salas from Wake Forest, and Blake Henson from Pitt. Is there a guy that you guys feel like should have made first team that didn't?
I think it's a pretty fair first team. I don't object. I mean, I don't know that Armando was first team this season. when you look at the competition.
I got no problem with that one either. Yeah.
Armando leads the second team. I did have Armando on the first team because I think he was the only one in the league averaging a double-double. And he's a large part of why North Carolina's defense is so much better this year. It's just dedication to it. But I'm all right with Armando, Reese Beekman, Judah Mintz from Syracuse, Norchad Amir from Miami, and Quentin Post from Boston College are your second team. Then third team, DJ Horn from NC State, Harrison Ingram from Carolina makes an appearance, senior Jeremy Roach from Duke, Marcus Burton from Notre Dame, and Sean Padula from Virginia Tech are your third team. Did they miss anybody? Was there anybody that should have got named and didn't? The three teams?
No, I mean, I wouldn't mind if Ingram made second team, but I don't think that I have too many objections.
I mean, leading the league in rebounding?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't have had a problem with that too. Joe Girard from Clemson, maybe. Jarrett McCain, I was actually surprised didn't make one of the teams because he really turned it on in conference play. I'm trying to think of maybe Cam Hildreth over at Wake Forest. But other than that, I'm kind of cool with it. Going into player of the year, your player of the year is North Carolina's R.J. Davis. I saw a cool video with Hubert in the locker room talking to the team yesterday before they knew that he had won it. And he was going on about how one of the things he loves is that when he comes to work every day, he can look up in the rafters, and his uncle, Walter Davis, is in the rafters with a jersey. And that he loved the fact that he comes to work every day and there's one Davis in the rafters. I have news. We're going to have two Davises in the rafters. RJ Davis is the AC Player of the Year. So, and the team went nuts or whatever. And well deserved, as you can see by the votes. Nobody came close. Cal Filipowski came in second with 3 votes. PJ Hall with Clemson 2. Baycott got a vote, and Quentin Post got a vote. I'm kind of surprised Armando Baycott got a vote.
Yes.
I wonder who that was. That you, R.L?
I had a women's vote, but I didn't have a men's vote.
Okay. So the defensive player of the year, I think we all knew it was going to be Reese Beekman from Virginia, and he did win that. Ryan Dunn from Virginia was second. Armando Baycott third in that category. Rookie of the year, Marcus Burton, Notre Dame, 46 votes. Jarrett McCain came in second. Are you surprised that Elliot Cadeau didn't get a vote?
Yeah, I was a little surprised. If you'll remember preseason, Elliot Cadeau was the landslide winner of preseason Rookie of the Year, but obviously things changed. At least he did make the all-rookie team, though.
Yeah, which was even weirder. That's why I was like, he made the all-rookie team, but he's not in the Rookie of the Year category. He didn't get a single vote. Like, it's just, it seems kind of odd to me. And you guys can, anytime we're on, you can always comment in the comment section on YouTube. At youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio, or on the Tar Heel Tribune's YouTube channel, or you can do it on Facebook Watch. If you find us there, just type it in. And we just found out today you can do it on the Twitter feed as well. So if you find us at Tobacco Radio and you find the show streaming, you can actually comment live like Anthony Mason's doing here, and we'll try to answer it while we're on the air. Most improved player in Shefflin. Am I saying that right? Yep. Shefflin from Clemson got 30 votes. Hunter Salas, who I thought was going to win it, from Wake. Harrison Ingram got 5 votes. I don't think anybody expected this version of Harrison Ingram to show up in Chapel Hill when it was announced last year that he was coming. 6th man of the year, Ismail Leggett from Pitt wins that one. Seth Trimble got some votes there. Coach of the year, Hubert Davis wins ACC Coach of the Year. I think personally Hubert should be up for National Coach of the Year. They weren't picked to win the ACC. It was a brand new squad he basically put together. He basically had 4 guys that came back from last year, and Baycott, Davis, Trimble, and Washington. And they won the ACC outright and are in the midst of the hunt for a 1 seed. Like, I don't know what else he needs to do to be considered, but if he wins National Coach of the Year for the second time in 3 years, I think it's safe to say his job is secure because I keep seeing people talk, well, he was on a hot seat last year. I was like, I never thought he was on a hot seat last year, like not once. And people wanted to talk themselves into it.
Pete, you lived with Hubert as a senior, if I recall correctly. Hubert talked about it on the radio show, and he tried to deflect to the team. But how much do you think this means to him?
Hubert is he's just a different guy. He's he's one of two guys that have gone to Carolina that you're like you got to look long and hard to find something really wrong with the guys, and that was Montross and Davis. And I texted him immediately to congratulations, and his response was, "I'm just happy for the players." And he's all about that, and it is a kind of reward that'll be something maybe in the off season or when he retires to look back and obviously have great pride about that. But it's not what his goal is. His goal is not to be coach of the year and then flame out. His goal and this team's goal is all one and the same. And the best thing about his great coaching is just put the team in that position to get their goal this year. And I think, like you mentioned, coming from last year when it was so disappointing. He's coaching the same. He just has a different group with him, and he coaches those guys hard. I've been to those practices. He's intense. He's demanding a lot, but these guys are buying in, and it puts them in a position this year to kind of, in anyways, to go as far as they can, but in a better position than they have been in the past.
The all-rookie team, Marcus Burton from Notre Dame, Lee Zach Harrett, Jarrett McCain, Carlton Carrington from Pitt, Baye Ndongo from Georgia Tech, and then Elliot Cadeau rounds out the all-rookie team. I'm actually surprised he got the least votes on the all-rookie team at that, because I know his stats don't really show it, but to be honest, he might be the linchpin for the Carolina offense, because they do way better when he's on the court than when he's not. And I'm glad.
I think that might be a case of the voters just looking at the statistics.
Yeah.
Instead of the eye test, because we watch all the games. We know the eye test. Carolina's offense is so much better when Elliott's on the floor. I mean, it's obvious, and that may not come out on the stat sheet as much.
I'm looking for there was a graphic, and I should have saved it, of the ACC tournament field, and I'll bring that up now because, again, the ACC tournament starts today. The ACC tournament is here. I know it's weird that it's starting on a Tuesday, but
go figure. NC State played on the first day. That's never happened before.
Really? Is that?
I'm not kidding. You used to call when there was just one game, they used to call it the Les Robinson game.
Oh, Robinson Invitational.
Yeah.
So, let me. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I found the bracket. So let's look at real quick before we get out of here and kind of see what North Carolina's path to a title could potentially be. No, that's not what I want. It's sharing the wrong screen. Bear with me a moment. So as I pull that up
so
there.
Either on Wednesday, they're either playing Virginia Tech or Florida State at noon on Thursday. And if they win, they would either play Pitt, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, or Wake Forest.
Yeah, so
of all those teams, the only one that Carolina lost to was Georgia Tech. So
Georgia Tech's a weird team. That's what Damon Stoudemire said. They have wins over us, Duke, Pitt, Clemson, Wake.
Yeah.
And somehow they are let's see, I can't even read this from on the thing on here.
13 seed.
They're the 13 seed. So yeah, today, game 1, 2:00 on ACC Network. 12th ranked or 12th seed Notre Dame will take on Georgia Tech. 4:30 p.m. Number 10 NC State will take on 15th seed Louisville, and Boston College takes on Miami at 7 p.m. Tonight. On all that on the ACC Network. Starting tomorrow, you got Virginia Tech, Florida State in the 8-9 game. That's at noon. The winner of Notre Dame, Georgia Tech will take on Wake Forest, the 5 seed at 2:30. And then you got the winner of NC State and Louisville taking on 7 seed Syracuse. Syracuse is an interesting team. It's 7 tomorrow, and 6 seed Clemson taking on the winner of Boston College, Miami. That second group there, Virginia Tech, Florida State, Wake, Syracuse, Clemson. Do you think a winner can come out of that off of that day, off of Wednesday?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I can't see it. I can't see it.
Yeah, the only one that I might say could maybe do it. I don't want to put that much faith in. Well, I would have put a lot of faith in Wake if they hadn't had the last 2 weeks. They've got the ability to go on a little run, but it's going to be tough on Wake's side of the bracket because then Then you get to Thursday, which would, I guess, traditionally be ACC Friday, I guess, at this point. Carolina, Pitt, Duke, and Virginia, the top 4 seeds that got double byes, they'll take the court on Thursday. Friday's ACC semifinal Friday. Those games are at night, 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. And then the championship game is on Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. All these games are on ESPN and ESPN2. Outside of North Carolina, what team are you guys looking at as a team with the best, that's playing the best, that you feel confident in betting on? Now that it's legal to bet in North Carolina, if you hadn't heard, you can actually bet now. Yeah, apparently you can get on DraftKings and bet all you want to. Everybody's giving out money. That actually reminds me, I have reads. So let me read this real quick for you guys from Bleav. We do have a new sponsor. It's Cut. It's a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's legal in 40 plus states. Cut has customizable odds, tracking capabilities, and an entire social network with group chats, user profiles, and rewards. All payments, no need for Venmo. Use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, for a 10% welcome deposit bonus. Don't forget the promo code Bleav. Cut, put your money where your mouth is. And speaking of betting, we still have one more from Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting contests and all the player props that you can enjoy. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or mobile devices. Head to Bet Online today to become part of the team. Remember to use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. And where we'll end it today, which team besides North Carolina are you keeping an eye on in the ACC tournament here? It starts in about 2 hours.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me to have a Saturday night rematch with Duke, and only because I look at the other teams and there hasn't been the consistency. I mean, Syracuse can get it going, Clemson can get it going, Florida State's always a tough matchup, but they're going to have to win multiple games, and I think that consistency hasn't been there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Carolina Duke on Saturday night.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, it makes me think of the 2019 semifinals between Duke and Carolina. That was one of the best games I've attended in person. I mean, that was Zion Williamson, Kobe White. That was a great game. If the Saturday night's game is anything like that, that'll be really entertaining. Other than Duke, I would say maybe look at Clemson as maybe making a run, but I don't see that happening in most likely. But they might be a team to look at.
The team I'm keeping an eye on, especially because they're on the Carolina side of the bracket, is Pitt. Pitt, I don't know if anybody picked Pitt to finish in the top 4 of the league this year. They feel like the toughest team. Like, they're gritty. Like when you play Pitt, you're getting into a fight pretty much. And they're going to end up playing probably Wake Forest on a Thursday and then probably Carolina on Friday. I know that what's the thing that Carolina, if they win the regular season championship, they typically don't win the ACC tournament or whatever it is, something to that effect. They won it in 2017 though, didn't
they? I don't think so. They won it in 2016, which is the last time it was in Washington. Joe Barry was the MVP.
The Bryce Johnson squad, yeah, and that team should have won a national championship. But yeah, I'm curious because all the things say don't pick Carolina to win this because they just won the regular season. But we've been watching them all year. They're the best team in the league. Like when they come out to play, there's not a team in the league that's better than them. And the numbers prove it. The results prove it. So if they just come out and play, I don't see a team in this bracket across the league where I'm like, okay, if they both show up at their best, Carolina's going to maybe lose that game. Even Duke. Like I feel like if Duke shows up at their best and Carolina shows up at their best on Saturday night, Carolina's going to win that game. Like they're just better like than all the other teams in the league. Now a team could upset them. Pitt is what I'm looking at, and maybe. Syracuse beat them already this year, but I was at Syracuse. It's kind of it. Like I'm just kind of looking through it. Now the regular season is over, and we'll end it on this. Pete, how many teams do you think get into the NCAA tournament from the ACC?
I think if there's a couple of teams that are on that first outline, I know that kind of didn't do well at the end of the regular season, but I think if Clemson or Wake makes a decent run in here. If Syracuse gets to the championship game, I mean, I think any of those three teams has to get to Saturday night to have a chance. And then if they win it, by gosh, I think that would probably get them in. But get to the game might give them a chance. It depends on what else happens in the country. But it's tough. They put themselves in a tough position by not finishing strong.
They really did. Like, they set themselves up to finish fourth, get the double bye. They had the Duke win in their pocket, and then they just lost every single game after they played Duke until the other night when they won their regular season finale at the Joel to clinch the 5 seed. R.L., how many teams you think getting in as it stands right now?
I'm thinking probably 4.
That's incredible.
Carolina
for a 16-team ACC or whatever.
Yeah.
So Carolina, Duke.
Sure. Yeah.
I think I saw Virginia's in the last 4 in or something on Lunardi's bracketology last night. So Carolina,
Right.
Duke, Virginia.
Yeah.
And who? Pitt, I guess? Is that who you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would come down to either Virginia or Pitt, depending upon how Pittsburgh does if they make the semifinals.
I could see depending on how this week goes, I could see 6 at the most. I feel like I'm playing spades, like I'm calling out my hands. I could see 6 in terms of, I don't see how you keep Pitt out. And I could see Wake winning a couple of games. Clemson's got some early season wins and they finished 6th. I could see them potentially squeezing in, like if some teams lose early in other conferences. But I think the first 4 are pretty much in: Carolina, Duke, Virginia, Pitt. And then it's a matter of, do you put in Clemson or do you put in Wake? So 5, 6 possible. I'll go with that. So, and we'll just see what happens. It might help the league if Carolina doesn't win the tournament and one of these teams that gets hot, like a Wake Forest, somebody actually wins the whole thing in DC. That might help a little bit, but it's just strange to talk about the ACC only getting like 4 teams in, or something to that effect. And the Big 12 is going to end up having like 10 teams get into the tournament, it feels like, but they're all going to be gone by second weekend. Like we just did this last year. So
I mean, there are teams that go into the ACC tournament hungry, but Carolina, really, if they win the tournament, they have a chance to overtake Tennessee to get the 4th number 1 seed. And that's very important because most of the projections now have Carolina as a 2 seed playing in the East with UConn as the number 1 seed in Boston.
No
Part of that. You'd much rather go to Los Angeles and be the number 1 seed with Arizona as the 2 seed. And I don't know if Carolina wins the tournament, ACC tournament, they have a good chance. I don't know if they would also need Tennessee to slip up in the SEC tournament. But I'm seeing people say they think, and they're not the committee, but they're saying that they think Carolina is the number 1 seed. But I don't know if that's the case if they don't win the tournament.
I'd be disappointed if Tennessee got it over Carolina, because I think resume-wise, side by side, Carolina has the better resume, and they beat them head-to-head earlier in the year, actually beat the brakes off of them head-to-head. So it's like, if they give it to Tennessee, they're basically saying that the SEC is better than the ACC and Tennessee won it and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, it should be at this point, Carolina won the ACC outright. And if they can just get to ACC Saturday, I think Carolina gets that 1 seed. And it'll be Purdue, UConn, Houston, Carolina. And then Arizona will probably be your top 2 seed. I assume Duke is still on the 2 line. Who am I forgetting? Iowa State, although they lost this past weekend. It's a jumble in the top 10 trying to figure it out. But those ones, I think Carolina's going to end up getting it in the end. And honestly, besides UConn, Houston is the one team I probably don't want to see right now either. Did you see what they did to Kansas on Saturday? Like, my gosh, like what in the world is going on here? Kansas getting boat raced by 30. Like, that never happened. So, speak about experience.
Hunter Dickinson's hurt.
Yeah, that's true. But Houston's got experience too, just like Carolina and Purdue and UConn. So it's like the top teams this year are the older, more experienced teams. The teams that are kind of floating around are the ones that are still kind of dependent on youth. Kentucky, Duke, Kansas. So the paradigm has shifted a little bit. So we'll kind of see if that holds up. Anything else you guys want to hit before we get out of here?
One of the throw this out. I've noticed the coaching staff, when Carolina's got a lead with about 4 minutes left, they come out of their regular offense to try to burn clock. And I was curious, Pete, what you thought of this as well. I mean, it seems like it creates a lot of tough shots at the end of possessions, like Elliot Cadeau's 2-pointer with his feet outside the arc against Duke. Sometimes it just feels like it'd be better if they just stay aggressive rather than pulling it out and working shot clock.
Yeah, we all obviously understand what the mindset is. And in the end, they always get to the same play anyways, that high pick and roll. It seems like I don't have a problem, like you said. Maybe if they're gonna do that, they just go a little bit earlier in the clock, because it seems like they wait to about 9-10 seconds, and then if you don't get something quick, you are usually struggling. And I don't like to see that, especially now if it's a 8, 9, 10 point game. That's one thing, but when it's with 2 possessions or something, I think we got to get into something earlier. So again, pull it out, but just maybe start a little bit early on that clock for sure.
Yeah, that would work if they didn't wait as long. I don't know if Elliot is given a place on the shot clock to start moving or not, but maybe, like you said, if they start moving a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and normally in past years that would worry me, the stop and go of the offense or whatnot. But with RJ kind of being the driver, I'm okay with it. It does worry me a little bit sometimes when they do that it allows teams to kind of catch back up to them sometimes. But I feel like just hearing the post-game comments from Cormac and Harrison Ingram and Armando, that they all recognize where they are in the part of the calendar and that they're looking to do some big things. So Armando Bacot is probably the one player in Carolina history that has seen so much in his career at Carolina from his – I mean, he came in with Cole Anthony, like, was it 2020? 2019? 2020, yeah, it was after the Zion year. So, yeah, they came in after the Zion, Kobe White, Cam Johnson year, and he's seen everything from COVID. He's played in arenas with no fans. He's been to a Final Four. He's beaten Duke in a Final Four.
And he's missed the NCAA tournament.
He's missed the NCAA tournament wearing a Heels jersey. It's just incredible, like everything that they've gone through. They've had a 16-point lead in the national championship and lost it. Like just the ups and downs of his career. It's just amazing to me. And shout out to the Duke fans who clown the fact that Armando Bacot's been here for so long, but in the same breath want Jeremy Roach to come back for a 5th year. And we'll just leave it there. So for R.L. Bynum and our special guest host, Pete Chilcutt, I'm Desmond Johnson. Shout out to everybody who's found us here in our inaugural season of Bleav in Hills Hoops. We ain't done yet because the Hills ain't done yet. We'll be back next week with a new episode. And hopefully we'll be talking about ACC Tournament Championship and wherever the Hills are going regional-wise. And we'll try to break this March Madness thing down for you guys and figure out who's going where. We'll know Sunday night. So definitely stop by. Check us out next week. You can follow us on the Bleav podcast networks, and the video is always available at Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel, as well as the Tar Heel Tribune's YouTube channel. So we will see you guys next week.